After 26 years of printing, I can tell you 90% of the reasons of why people are not happy with their prints. Have you ever gotten a print back from the lab and it's just not what you wanted? It's perhaps too dark. You can't see the faces. It's not how it looked on your iPhone when you took the picture. Here at the Icon, we've been perfecting the art of printing for 26 years, and we've picked up quite a number of tips and tricks to get your print exactly how you want it. Getting your files ready to print. Most printers, and here at the Icon we use this as well, you want to have a resolution or a DPI or PPI, people use those sometimes interchangeably, of 300. TIFF versus JPEG. JPEG is a lossy compression, meaning it's crumpling your image down to be a much smaller size, but in doing so, it's actually throwing away some data. With Photoshop and photo editing software today, that's not such a big deal as it was, say, back in the 80s or in the 90s. But if you continually open and close, open and close, open and close, it's throwing away data each time. And then when you open it back up, it's trying to fill in those spaces that it threw away based on what's around it. And after a while, you can start getting JPEG artifaction. Just little, it's not really pixels, it's just like sort of like lines where you could tell, oh, a computer has been working on this. So TIFF is better. Sometimes, of course, if you're printing really large, like 40 by 60 inches or larger, that's going to be a massive file. And in those cases, if you're only doing it like maybe once or twice, saving as JPEG is fine. Color profile. Usually the most common color profiles are going to be sRGB or Adobe 98. sRGB is great for skin tones. If you've got people and it's a color shot, especially if there's Caucasian people in it, the sRGB is a smaller color space, so people aren't going to look too red or too yellow. Adobe 98 is a wider color space, so you get more emphasis in the reds, in the blues. Things might look a little bit more poppy. Apple also has some of its own profiles, such as Display P3, and a lot of cameras just automatically shoot in Display P3. ProPhoto is an extremely large color space, and in fact, it will show you some colors on your monitor that a printer can't actually replicate. So if you have your file in ProPhoto, try converting it into Adobe 98 or even sRGB, just to make sure that you're staying what's called in gamut, something that your printer or our printer can replicate for you. So I just took this image here in the studio with the lovely Allison. And if I go into image size, a little pop-up tells me the details of this. I just shot this on my iPhone. It's 34.9 megabytes. It's telling me it's 42 inches, 56 inches. And you would think, oh, that's huge, 42 by 56. But notice the resolution is 72 dpi. So if I uncheck the resample box, uncheck that. Notice also it's telling me my pixel count is 3024 by 4032. Say I don't, let's move this to 300 dpi. That's a great resolution for printers, and most printers will go that big. So I changed it to 300 dpi, and now look at my dimensions. I'm 10 inches wide by 13.4 inches. So I've packed all of my pixels into a smaller space, and that's changed my dimensions, but notice my pixel count has stayed the same. So say I want to be at 300 dpi, and I'm looking at this image, I have my ruler turned on, and I go and I zoom in a little bit so that 1 inch on my ruler equals an inch in real life. And I can look at Allison and see how sharp this is. Look at how much detail is here. I can see individual eyelashes. I can read that very well. And if I wanted to go larger, I might go back into image size, and here's the percentage thing. I go to percent, it's defaulting to 100%, and I can go 110%. And now this has enlarged. I am now at, let's go back to inches. I'm now at 11 by 14. So I've enlarged just a little bit, just 10%, that's not a lot, but if I do that over and over again, it's going to get me a better result when I'm enlarging and I'm trying to go big. And I've actually just set up an action, I use this so often, where I can just click it and it's going to enlarge and enlarge and enlarge until I get it to the dimensions that I want, and I can stop periodically and just make sure that I'm still as sharp as I want. You can notice as we start to enlarge, in the shadow areas here, I'm starting to see a little bit of grain, even though this is a digital camera or a digital file. I'm starting to see a little bit grain, so that's when I want to start thinking, okay, maybe I'm at my limit of how large I can go. And there's techniques that I can also use when I really do need to go big and this is starting to fall apart. There are some techniques that you could also do to try and mask that. So right now, we are at 14, almost 15 by 20 inches. At the Icon Photo Lab, we offer different print types and service levels because not every job needs the same service. For instance, quick prints. These are snapshots going from 4 by 6 inches all the way up to 12 by 36 inches on C-print paper. Just quick, easy, reliable prints. There's Pro Prints for the larger prints or printing on an inkjet paper, for instance. There's Custom Prints where you need some help from us, but not necessarily the full fine art treatment. And then, of course, there's the fine art service where I work with you, we make the test print, we check and make sure that we're solving all of the problems before we go to a final print. This is an example. This is a shot by Greg Hatton. It's an example, a great example, I think, of street photography that has been elevated to a fine art level. This beautiful shot of the Oculus in New York. And I worked with him, and when we were working on this, we wanted to make sure that these very white areas, that they're bright and nice and high, but not blown out. Conversely, the blacks, we want to have a nice snap, a nice contrast range between the very bright and the very dark, but without blocking up and losing these very subtle lines through that. That's something that I worked with him, and actually this, I think, is hanging at the Leica store in New York right now. This is also by Greg Hatton, Compton Christmas. This is their parade. Say you're working on this on your home computer and you get it to how you like it on your monitor. You could calibrate your monitor. There's a device that you could get that calibrates your monitor, gets it so that it's as neutral color and brightness as possible, so that ideally when you send something to print, it looks like what it looked like on your monitor. Your monitor has all of this light shooting out of it, and it's also super saturated in color, especially if you're looking at something on your iPhone. Those are made to be dazzling. It's eye candy. So you want something, you want to try and make it, either just keep that in mind that that's happening, or you want some device that is going to calibrate your monitor to make it a little bit more neutral. Also, that has all that light shooting out of it. Paper here obviously only has what's reflected off of it. So it's going to, and this is the most common complaint I see, is, oh, my print looks darker than it looked on my computer. That's because this does not have all that wattage shining out of it. So usually before I send a print to be printed, it looks great on my monitor. I think I've got the levels exactly where I want it. Then I just go in and I brighten it just a little bit. Just a little, barely perceptible. It is perceptible, but not a lot. That way I'm accounting for the probable darkness of the print, because the print will be more darker than it looks like on your monitor. The Icon has now been here for 26 years, which really, in terms of labs, is quite amazing. That's quite an accomplishment, so congratulations to the Icon. I've been here for about 20 years, and I can tell you that making great prints depends on who you're working with and how much passion that you want them to share the same passion that you do. If you have any questions about a specific job, you're just not sure, just call, make an appointment, drop by. We want to work with you to make your image the best that it can be. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Oh yeah, I hate that notification. I never hit the
No,
notification.
I don't hit the
I know
notification bell either. Just hit the subscribe button.
Exactly.